Hi, good evening. It's Gene from the maverickstar Observatory. Bit of a different video coming up for you here. A little bit of science and a little bit of, I don't know, just my thoughts I suppose. But I bet you they're the same thoughts that you've got going around in your head right now. It's not getting any better, is it, the world? Right now, global protests, global pandemic, global economic uncertainty, and people have lost jobs, people have lost their lives, and it's like being in an explosive factory. And we're not quite there at 200 degrees Celsius where everything just blows to smithereens, but we are at around about 150 degrees, and it's rising. The levels of corruption and wickedness is also at the same time rising. The heat is increasing, guys. Can you feel it? You may have lost people in your own streets, towns and neighbourhoods. There's a book that I bet you a lot of you are familiar with that said when certain behaviours become fluent, like corruption, wickedness, lies and greed, certain things were going to change. And we could be there now. You cannot deny what is going on right now and just write it off as a coincidence. 2020 is a unique year in its own rights. What are the chances of having a global pandemic and global riots at the same time? Food is becoming more scarce around the world. Everything is like compiling. It is like I explained, we're in the explosive factory. The temperature's rising. We know we're surrounded by explosives. It's just a matter of time. They can no longer keep being corrupt. Even if they start to change their ways now, I really doubt whether we can revert what's coming. And I'm not just saying that this might be on a biblical scale and biblical proportions and for biblical reasons. I'm just saying that the facts are the facts. We are facing in a few years' time an event that is very rare, never recorded by humans before, and nobody knows really what's going on. I was speaking to a friend on the Gold Coast today, and we was talking about the core of the earth, and my view, it's not easy to explain because we simply don't know. We can measure earthquakes rippling through the earth through Rayleigh waves, P waves, S waves and so on, and we can measure the speed of those waves that travel through the earth, and we can say, okay, well, it slowed down at a certain point, and once it got past that certain point it accelerated, so it went through something dense. That's exactly what they do, and that's exactly how they've come to the understanding of what we have inside the earth. Nobody knows that something else is rotating inside there, or that there's a big ball of iron. We don't know how the magneto is generated. We've tried to create it in laboratories, and to date we haven't done it. My theory, like I was explaining to Richard on the Gold Coast, is it might be something externally. If we take the analogy of rubbing a balloon on our jumper and we create a static charge over the surface area of the balloon, and we put a little bit of tin foil by that balloon, it'll attract it to the balloon's surface. And likewise, if we put a piece of plastic, it will attract it to the balloon's surface. If we look at the universe and everything on our earth, it doesn't have to be the whole universe, but it's the same, we will only find two things. That is dielectrics and conductive materials. And the static charge of the balloon attracts the both. I don't know if you recall the experiments are done with the plasma ball, and we put a big neodymium magnet underneath it, and we slowed down the amount of elements that was spinning round the Tesla coil in the centre. But what you will note, if I remember, each charged filament that was coming off towards the glass from the Tesla coil had a split in the middle of a circle. And if we could measure that, and I don't think scientists have ever done that, if we could measure it, you'd find that there was poles. And you know, this, I think, the gravity is being created, and not just the gravity, I think the poles are being created externally on the surface of the planet. But nevertheless, when the Earth goes through its reversals, we're still going to lose our protection. Here's the thing that Jeff sent us from Perth, Australia, June the 9th, 2020. It's getting cold in the mesosphere, very cold. At polar latitudes, 60 degrees north, 80 degrees north, temperatures have been breaking 14-year records in the last few days. Reports, Lynn Harvey of the University of Colorado Laboratory for Atmospheric Space Physics, this development is causing narcoleptic clouds, NLCs, to spill out of the Arctic middle latitudes. I'll tell you now, we've been having these narcoleptic clouds here in the UK for, I don't know, good 8 years. It's the same narcoleptic clouds that we see either side of the sun, forming the sundogs, and at some rare occasions you can see it above it as well, just like you do in the Arctic circles. Tell me how the Earth is getting warmer if we're experiencing 14-year records, and even at lower latitudes than what they're talking about. We're at 52 degrees north here at central England, so it's a lot further down than 60 degrees north like they're saying. It's probably because, you know, the magnetic North Pole is migrating towards Russia right now, and almost central Russia, so it's going to come down that latitudes as it does that. And like I predicted, or I've assumed, you know, it's a theory after all, you know, that where them poles go is where those sub-zero temperatures go. I don't think it's a coincidence that over the Arctic circles we have a magnetic pole, rotational axis and Arctic temperatures, just merely by coincidence. We really need to get our acts together, guys, in this world. And we're at the last furlong. You know, we haven't got much left in the race to really get our acts together, start working together, and to fix some of the problems that we are going to face in the coming years. Because if we don't, we're going to start cascading into these hurdles and crashing one after the other, one after the other. Every time we do that, we will lose massive proportions of the human race that are here on this planet today. We have already lost, just through one incident, 400,000, over 400,000 people already in the last 6 months that would have been here with their loved ones today if it hadn't have been for that, you know, I don't know, how would you explain it, complacency by China, you know, and the World Health Organization not bringing it to the world's attention that there was a problem. Perhaps if we'd have realised the problem earlier, we could have prevented it even leaving China, like we did other viruses like the Ebola crisis. You know, it's just in front of our eyes, and like I say, you know, we go about our daily lives, you know, just concentrating on ourselves, and because we do that and we're not putting pressure on these organisations and governments around the world, because we are being so complacent, this is why we are going down this road. This world and the conditions of this world have never been in such a miserable condition, and it is set to get worse. It's obvious the temperature in this explosive factory is going to increase in the not too distant future. We don't know whether it'll accelerate from 150 to 200, and at that point it's over. You know, we are being served up a last opportunity here, guys. And we need to be proactive, and we need to stop thinking about ourselves. We need to stop being corrupt. We need to change the wicked behaviour that some of us have, and draw a line in the sand and say we need to turn round and go back and put right some of the things that need to be put right. You know, that's my views, guys, and I believe deep down you share those as well. The 17th was yesterday, guys. It was when we pull out all the SD cards, we do all that processing and everything else, and we managed to raise for all that work £45. Can you believe it? And if that's what we get at the epicenter of our month, then it doesn't look good for the future of this observatory. We need to consistently raise money in order to keep doing what we do. And if we want to go a little bit further, then we have to raise a little bit more money to do that. And the only way we can do that is by people, you know, chipping in on PayPal and joining up on Patreon. And, you know, from the beginning of the year, we've seen, you know, things declining slowly. So, you know, it's going to come down to a point where you want to see the observatory keep going or not. You know, you're going to be faced with a lot of these decisions. You know, do you want to be informed about what's going on with regards to this anomaly, and the bespoke information that we can give you with the bespoke equipment that we've got dedicated to monitoring the magnetic migration of the North Pole? If that's something you're interested in, the links are down there, guys. We need to do a lot more. With that, I'm going to wish you a good evening, and I will say what I usually do. Bye for now.